In the midst of this everyday joy, an untold story unfolds. A story of countless innocent lives shattered in silence. A hidden crisis that thrives in the shadows. In Pakistan, a child is sexually abused every 2 hours. These aren't just statistics, they are the souls of our children, broken and bruised.
ये कसूर का वही गांव है जहां हवस और उसे बेचने का कारोबार करने वालों ने मुतअद्दिद बच्चों का बचपन छीन।
मुझे ले गए अपनी हवेली में, वहाँ पे जाके 3-4 बंदे और आ गए हैं। इन्होंने मेरे साथ बदफेली की, ज़्यादती की मेरे साथ, और इन्होंने खुफिया कैमरे भी लगाए हुए थे। और इन्होंने जब ज़्यादती कर ली, बदफेली कर ली, मुझे इन्होंने छोड़ दिया। घर वालों ने पूछा हाँ इतनी देर कहाँ था, तो उनसे झूठ बोल दिया, अब इधर गया था इधर गया था। 1 हफ्ते बाद ये वापस आए मेरे पास, कहा तेरी वीडियो बन गई है, अब जो चाहेंगे तुमसे करवा लेंगे। अगर तूने हमारी बात ना मानी तो तेरे दोस्तों को दिखा देंगे, तेरे स्कूल में दिखा देंगे, या तेरे वालिदैन को दिखा।
Imagine the fear and confusion of a young girl, Zainab Amin, only 6 years old, who got abducted, raped and murdered. The innocence, so bright and untouched, suddenly shattered. Picture the pain of parents whose daughter Marwa, just 5, kidnapped, raped, murdered and burnt. One good happy day suddenly turns into a never-ending nightmare.
He took me to a place far away and did bad things to me, but nothing happened to him because of it. We're all victims of violence. He broke my hands and feet and beat me badly.
Unfortunately, more than 60% of children file complaints to us against the police. They say the police sexually exploit them, so it's the very institutions that are supposed to protect children which are exploiting them.
He says he was traumatized by the sexual abuse he suffered, but admits doing the same thing to another boy.
I've only forced one boy myself. He insulted me and my family, so I told him he had it coming. So I grabbed him and gave it to him.
These children so young, so fragile, bear the weight of trauma that no one should ever have to carry. Their laughter replaced by tears, their dreams by fears. In 2022, Sahil NGO reported 4,253 cases of child sexual abuse in Pakistan, a staggering 33% increase from the year before.
I was going to school in the morning alone when a group of men kidnapped me and took me to a room in the village. All of them sexually abused me. They made a video of the attack. Later, with that video, they started to blackmail me. I was too scared to tell anyone. I just couldn't find the courage to speak about it. This went on for years. In the end, I left the village and moved to the city. I found a job with an international company. But still, my abusers kept threatening me. I was giving most of my salary to them, just to stop them from spreading the video in the village or posting it on the internet. Eventually, the gang had an argument. Some of them shared the abuse videos in the village. My elder brother saw it first. He called me, shocked. I explained everything to him, and then we decided to do something about it. We started planning, gathering data. I downloaded pictures of the gang members from Facebook, and we started collecting the videos. My brother and I collected 98 videos in which 39 children were abused. Later we went to Lahore and protested in front of the parliament. The media started taking an interest in the case, and in the end, some of the accused were arrested. The police have recovered around 250 abuse videos, showing around 150 victims. Most of them were school children. You could even see their uniforms. The gangsters asked people still gossip about what happened. people say we won't be able to do anything against the abusers. When I apply for a job anywhere, they just look at my documents and apologize. They know I'm from that village. Sometimes I think about my future. When I get married, how could I tell my wife about it?
But these numbers, as harrowing as they are, only scratch the surface. UNICEF states nearly 19 million child brides live in Pakistan. 1 in every 6 young women was forced married in childhood. Their childhoods, their futures sacrificed.
Does incest exist in Pakistan? Definitely. Oh yes. The difference is that in this society, we're such a hypocritical society, that we pretend it's not happening. Majority of people. Even if people know it's happening, they'll turn their face the other way. They'll say, we don't want to get involved. We don't want to get involved. And you know what? Let them, it's their headache, not ours. My father had been abusing me since the time I was a little kid. I appealed to my relatives for help. I told my mother, and at which she said, I'll tell your father. And I told her not to. I asked her not to. I said, he'll beat me. But she made a point to tell him. And after that, my father wouldn't let me talk to anybody. He wouldn't let me talk to anyone at all, not even my family, not anybody at all. The moment somebody came and stood with me for a second, or I stood with someone, he immediately said, what are you talking about me? What are you talking about me? And that way he managed to keep me isolated for most of my life. At one point I was about 18, and things had reached the point where my father was getting violent as well. I mean, he was starting to, hit and beat and pick up knives and things like that. And I was very scared. I was extremely depressed. I had tried to commit suicide, and I decided to run away. I persuaded my mother and my sisters to run. I said, we don't have anyone who will help us. Anyway, but I still persuaded my mother and my family to make a break for it, just to get away. We made a break for it. My mother told her brother where she was staying, and her brother brought my father over. When I went to my uncle, I spoke to him. I said, why are you doing this? I said, why are you doing this to us? You know what's been going on? It's been going on for years, and we've had enough. Why is he's been doing this, and he doesn't stop. He hasn't stopped up to now. So why are you doing this to us? And he said, oh, don't worry about it. Your father won't do it anymore. I said, I don't believe him. He's a liar. You can't trust him. He'll say anything he wants just to get away with it. So he said, no, you have to go. Just calm down. You have to go. You don't have a choice.
Why did you finally decide to share your story?
Well, finally, I made the decision to talk about it because I realized that we have to talk about it. People have to know what's going on. And if nobody talks about it, nobody admits it, it'll remain hidden. At least somebody should be able to come out and speak about what's happening, and there should be first acceptance and admittance of what's happening, and there should be laws put into place where people will be afraid to do them. Such harsh laws. And frankly speaking, I think only death, the fact that people can get away with it, it makes it much easier for them. The fact that people will support them and not the victim makes it easier for them. The fact that people will try to protect them rather than expose them makes it easier for them.
In this digital age, the dangers have multiplied. In 2022, over 2 million cases of online child sexual abuse and exploitation were reported in Pakistan. Pakistan now ranks as the 4th highest in the world for child sexual abuse offences. Our children are not even safe in their own homes.
This officer was not cooperating with them. They must go to the higher one. If they are not there, then they go to the other one. So one parent was under fear, the second was under fear, third was under fear, and for the long time, for the years and years and years.
System is not that much strong. The police, that is because of the police. Police is very much corrupt. They are non-professional. Their induction is on political basis. This is very big defect in our police system. There is no accountability for the policeman who is not working efficiently or honestly.
Trauma of abuse does not end when the abuse stops. It lingers long after the abuse ends. It impacts mental health, disrupts education, and damages future relationships. Victims face lifelong emotional scars and societal stigma. Scars are invisible to the world, run deep within their souls. The silence surrounding abuse is deafening. So many cases remain hidden, buried under layers of fear, shame, and stigma. How many more children suffer in silence, their cries unheard, their pain unnoticed? In 2022, 89% of reported cases were registered with the police. But what about those who remain hidden, too scared to speak out? How many more children's voices are stifled by a society that refuses to confront this reality?
Aslam says he was raped by 3 men 4 years ago. We're using a different name to protect his identity. At the time, he was 11 years old. Afterwards, he says he had to pay the men not to reveal what they'd done to him.
They made a video out of it and started blackmailing me. And they told me to bring them more kids. My family is poor, I had nothing to pay them. So I left school and worked in the fields. I gave them everything I made.
Over the last month, was sexually abused. People in the community say 400 videos of the attacks were made and sold across Pakistan and overseas. Shows us injuries he says he received when the police beat him for publicly protesting against the abuse.
Because of dignity and honour, some people are not coming forward. They're worried they'll lose the respect of society.
But beyond the darkness, there is a lighter glimmer of hope. Organizations like Sahil, which work tirelessly against child sexual abuse, remind us that change is possible. It's time to break the silence, to stand together, and to say no more. We can make a difference by raising our voices, educating our communities, and standing by the victims. We can begin to heal these wounds. We can be the change we so desperately need. These children, these innocent souls who have been robbed of their childhoods, deserve a future where they are safe, where their voices are heard, where they are loved and supported. The future of Pakistan depends on it. We cannot afford to look away. It's time to act, to stand against the silence and to stand up for the children who are our future.